talking back to training, as we are currently in a lockdown and trying to figure out what's the best way to get back into certain things like weightlifting, gymnastics, along them lines, really. So my sort of biggest question is the safest way, and I presume that's probably going to be what a lot of the people are going to be thinking about. Obviously, don't want to hit any injuries as we go back in. So just some general pointers and what you guys think.
Yeah, it's a good topic, I'm sure, and it's good that people, there's people on our program that are messagers and asking, when gyms are back open, what should they be doing? It's good that people are at least thinking about it, rather than just just being excited to chuck themselves back in head first. So it's good that people are aware that they can't just go straight back into it. And ultimately, it comes down to what you've had access to, during these last 12 or so weeks in your training. Like, have you had a rig? Have you had a barbell? So you have to identify exactly, the exercises and the movement patterns that you've not been able to do, and then those are the exercises and areas that you need to be aware of when you are getting back into the gym, and getting exposed to them again. Sorry, go on.
It's looking likely, isn't it, now that, like, I think they said from the 4th of July in the UK, so that's like 4 weeks' time, that we're probably going to be able to go back into gyms, whether that's kind of, we're only allowed in for like 2 to 3 sessions a week, which will probably kind of naturally break some people in a little bit when it comes back to, doing stuff they've not been able to. But it's good, like you said, Steve, that people are starting to think about it now. And for us, like programming wise, where this is the time now, like 4 to 6 weeks out, we can start preparing you guys to kind of ease you back in and, look at loading up certain muscles we might not have done for the past 6 to 8 weeks in the same way.
I feel like on that topic of like muscles, I feel like it's more, people still have that strength, but it's like ligaments and tendons that take that beating, don't they? Because they haven't really got more exercise. Is that what you think? It's adding in that tempo sort of stuff, and
it's the they've just not been exposed to certain movement patterns and like certain like end ranges. Like, just take kipping for example, which is probably one of the big ones. There's not really any way that you can replicate. There's a few things you can do, but you can't fully replicate that stress that you get there through the shoulders.
The force you're gonna get
when you come through kipping with force and speed. There's exercise you can do to keep your shoulders healthy and keep them functioning, but you can't really replicate that too much. We put stuff in like walking lunges with a swing overhead with some light dumbbells, and that kind of that's replicating that movement, but it's nowhere near the same amount of speed or force. So the load that's going through the shoulders is significantly less. So, and it's this same topic goes, and it applies the same for, if you've had to have 2 weeks off of training because you've gone on holiday, or you've been ill for a few weeks and you've not been able to get into the gym, because you've not had the energy, or you've just not been feeling well, or you've had an off season, you've had 3-4 weeks just completely chilling out. You might have just done a big competition and you just need some time off, and it's that return to sport protocol, which is just this. It's the same whenever you're getting back into the gym and training.
So not just for lockdown, it's going to be everything.
So don't just like whatever information we give you now. It's not just for like, this doesn't just happen for lockdown. Like, this is constantly like how you should be returning to training when you've not been exposed to intensity and volume for a while. So
what about on volume?
Yeah.
So what were we saying? So I think a lot of people are going to be like not done so much, but are going to be like, oh, you know, I'm going to go back and train this much straight away. So what's the protocol for them to not get too excited, if you like, you know, just because they're back training, we've been locked down or we've not been doing nothing for a long period.
I think Jack touched on it there when he said, you know, you might only be allowed in for 2 or 3 sessions a week, but I also think there'll be a time cap that you're allowed in. You know, if there's only going to be a certain amount of people in the gym at a time, you've got your own little area, you know, then you might only have 45 minutes or an hour to be in the gym and train. So, you know, that automatically helps things a little bit. But then, you know, then the people might run the risk of trying to cram loads in because they don't have, you know, they don't have 2 hours just to take it easy and just do things at a, you know, a relaxed pace. Like they might feel like they need to cram 90 minutes of training into 45 minutes, and that's where you could come across a few issues. Volume-wise, again, people need to understand their bodies and what they have been exposed to previously. What level of volume could they safely and effectively handle when they were training, everything was normal in the gyms, and kind of like seeing then a bit of a timeline of what they're doing now, what they used to be doing, and then, you know, every 2 to 3 weeks you want to be gradually being able to up that volume until you know, over a 6 to 8 week period you're back to you know, where you were at
pre-COVID.
Yeah. I suppose that's a good question there. Like you've said, that timeline. I think that'd be quite, you know, like a lot of people be like, well, when should I go back to like doing all that? What should you be looking out for? Signs of being fatigued, obviously, or, you know, just general rule of thumb. So people just don't just go for it, or not, if you know what I mean.
You know, it's hard to give general advice, but if you think, if let's say that what you were doing before lockdown is 100%, let's call that 100%, and then what you're doing now, let's say someone like you, for example, Kyle, is you've not had access to a rig, so you've not been able to do any kipping, gymnastics movements, or any rings. So your level now, a volume of that is 0%.
Yeah.
And let's say your 100% was 60 ring muscle ups per week.
Yeah.
You know, 100 to 120 toaster bar per week. You know, maybe chest to bars and maybe another 40 or 50 bar muscle ups. Let's say that's if you worked out that that's what you were doing per week, and you were fine in terms of like that wasn't too much.
Yeah.
That was like a good level for you. Then you've got a bit of a scale there. It's like you're currently on 0, and you were at these numbers.
Yeah.
And then when you need to kind of like gradually work back to that point. It doesn't mean like don't do any.
No.
You know, just like anything, when you're returning from an injury and you kind of like using those muscle groups again, then just keeping a high rest period so that your quality of movement stays high, and you can, you know, the muscle groups are fully recovering.
Just keeping that intensity a little bit lower as well.
Yeah, just don't push in, not be pushing the intensity too much, not chucking these exercises in with other exercises so that they're kind of pre-fatigued. You know, just doing the things that you've not been able to do for the last few months, just on their own, in controlled environments.
I actually remember
going at your own speed.